Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Maturation Warehouse tasting, the live tasting with myself, Andrew Brown, the distillery manager here at Bunnahabhain, and Brendan, our new distilleries manager or master distiller. Is that your official title, Brendan?
Yeah, official title is master distiller, which has a nice ring to
it. So it's going to be a relatively informal little chat tonight. We're going to have a look at what makes Bunnahabhain Bunnahabhain. We'll look at a little bit about the impacts of maturation and wood quality on how it changes the flavour and the texture and the profile and the feel of a dram as it ages. And please feel free to drop us a wee note in the comments if you have any questions. We're more than happy to address them as we go through the tasting tonight. Don't just all wait to the end. We'll answer as many as we can, and if we can't do them tonight, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you've been here before, drop in, say hello, let us know that you're there, and we'll give you a wee shout out and all those unnatural things that we would do if you were here in person. Firstly, what we'd like to do is go back to Brendan and say formally welcome to Distell and welcome to Bunnahabhain, Beanston and Tobermory. It's good to have you on board.
Thanks very much, Billy. It's good to be here. It's been a blur of a 6 weeks, I've got to say. It's just it's went by like that. But yeah, it's going well so far.
Good stuff. It's again a kind of surreal part of the year. Normally at the start of a festival, things would be a little bit manic and a little bit busier. Andrew, you've experienced quite a number of Sheilas on Isla. What's it normally like here around about this time of year?
Normally in Isla it's really packed. I mean, the campsites are full, the hotels are full, there's a buzz about the distilleries, there's folk queuing up to buy their bottles and all the different distilleries in Isla, and even Bunnahabhain itself just seems to have a bit more of a buzz about it. We see a lot of old friends and we meet new friends every year, and we see faces that come back year on year. We haven't seen them last year. We won't see a lot of them this year, although we will see some. So it's a strange time. You know, I'm looking at the office window here tonight, and I seen one person standing at the head of the pier where in normal years there's very few times you look out the window and there's no one about. The only guy that was standing there tonight was Stillman, who's still in running the stills, out for a quick walk.
Making the most of the break in the weather. This is the second year that we've had to go virtual with the festival. I think last year that was more of a challenge for us because we didn't really have a lot of time to prepare. So obviously this year we're way more prepared, and we've got the nice backdrop and we've got Andrew and Brendan ready to, you've taken all the pictures down off the wall, Andrew. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge for us all because normally we'd be talking to people face to face, and how we normally interact with people is obviously a little bit different over the airwaves than it is in person. But we'll do our best to make it an interesting way to spend an hour, as it should be when you're having a dram with friends.
Yeah.
What we have in store tonight, basically, we're going to have a chat about Bunnahabhain. What is Bunnahabhain? What's the Bunnahabhain style, if you want to call it that, and what makes Bunnahabhain a little bit more unique among the whisky world, especially that on Isla. And I'm going to defer most of these discussion topics to my two colleagues here, Andrew and Brendan, who have a wealth of experience in this area. I'm probably older than both of them added together, but I'm just a nipper in terms of the world of whisky. So I'll be asking them lots of questions as much as you guys will be. What would you guys think of or what would your perception be of the Bunnahabhain style? What is it about Bunnahabhain that is that little bit unique?
Andrew?
No, well, Brendan's new in the group.
I'll take it then. This is easy for me. So I am not an Eloch like Andrew, but I have lived on Isla. I lived on Isla for 3 of the best years of my life, and I've already seen Mr. Bowman join. So Mr. Bowman and I used to play football in the same team. So Nick is on the call, and his dad works at Ardbeg, and I've got loads of friends that work at Lafroig and loads of friends that work at Lagavulin. And I used to work at Lagavulin and Kalila, and I used to work at Port Ellen. And there's so much about Isla that's about, well, first and foremost, Isla is about making incredible whiskey. It's about making incredible single malt Scotch. And then it's really recognisable in the main for making very smoky single malt scotches. And for Bunnahabhain, what makes it different, what makes it unique, Bunnahabhain is, to me, it's as big and it's as bold and it's as flavourful as any whiskey on earth and as any whiskey on Islay, because let's face it, that's all that counts when we're talking about this discussion. But it's that non-peated part of it. It just has so much about it, so many flavours, so much going on the nose, so much going on the palate. It's a strong spirit. It goes straight into sherry casks, and it can mature its entire life in sherry, and you can still taste that spirit character, that style that Andrew and his team have laid down. And that's something about it that makes it unique. It's really incredible. And then just because we're show-offs, we make this incredible Islay whiskey that's non-smoked, but then every so often, just because we fancy it, we make a heavily peated whiskey, and I'd say it stands up to anything on earth as well. So we can do both. But the real uniqueness to me is that kind of classic, unpeated, but super flavourful, big, bold spirit that just loves a sherry cask.
I've got to agree with that. I mean, Bunnahabhain, I started here back in the mists of time just about now, but back in 1988, and Bunnahabhain produced unpeated whiskey. And for years, I just drank unpeated whiskey. I loved it. And then we started making our own peated, as you mentioned, and started drinking that. But for me, the Bunnahabhain, the classic Bunnahabhain is a 12-year-old. Yeah. When I started here, and I used to do some tours around the distillery many years ago, I used to take folk round and say, well, you can have Bunnahabhain in it in any age you want, as long as it's 12-year-old, but you can get it in 4 different size bottles. And it was a classic. It was understated for an Islay. It was unique. It was unpeated. There were very few distillers in Islay actually doing unpeated whiskey. But when they started doing it in Bunnahabhain, they started back in 1964 producing this unpeated style, and it just ran through. And from there through into about, I would say 1991 was a wee blip where we made some peated whiskey, which shouldn't have been peated whiskey. And then in 1997 we really tried some big bold experiments with peat. But the unpeated is a classic style. And on the back of that, another thing that we do that's quite unique in the island, we are the only distillery on Islay that actually uses its own spring for its processed water. So all the water is slightly a wee bit harder on Islay. So if you ever come over and get into the mash house, actually get someone to open the mash tun door for you and just feel inside the mash tun. You'll actually feel a wee bit of lime scale actually building up in it. And that's the hardness of the water. It's slightly unique to what everyone else in Islay is using. And that again imparts on the flavour and the style of what we do at Bunnahabhain. And as Brendan says, the unpeated style is the way to go. And Bunnahabhain and sherry is, it's my favourite way to go.
It's a lot.
I'm just looking at some of the comments coming through there. We've got Naomi in the US. Her samples haven't arrived yet, and it's the middle of the afternoon, but she's quite happy to start day drinking again, so it's all good. We've got comments from Sweden, from Germany. So hi guys, how are we all doing? Good to see you all joining us. Since we've been talking about the style, what we're going to try first tonight, we're going to try the little sample of New Make, the one that looks like we've done you a deal here and just given you some clear water in the wee bottle. But if you pour some of that into your glass, it certainly isn't water. It's, for me, this is a beautifully soft and sweet, almost floral New Make spirit. I mean, having nosed and tasted some of the other ones in Islay, it certainly stands out in that respect. Andrew, in terms of the distillation and the process here, what gives it those particular characteristics in your mind?
Sorry, I was reading some of the comments here. What were we saying, Billy? I was reading some of the comments.
Classic. Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening.
And Peter,
it's a lovely, soft, almost floral, delicate New Make spirit. What, in terms of the production and the distillation, contributes towards that?
Yeah, it's. I always like to go back to the malt, the unpeated malt, the way we mash. We're very traditional mash tun. The way we draw it off, we still have some of the original washbacks from 1963-64 that we use that impart some flavour. They're going away this year. The last two are going, and then you've got your stills. Our stills are rather big, and we have lots of interaction with the copper. And again, when you get into spirit still, it's the same. We're not probably charge them to capacity they can take, and that helps the interaction with the copper, and it gives it a lovely fruity light smell. I like to think of it as if you open up the stills the spirit stills and you nose inside them, you always get this sort of pear drop smell that comes out. It's very, very dominant for me on the spirit. And the new make spirit, that comes through into the floral, the light, the estery, fruity strength that we get on the new make spirit, and that's kind of the classic Bunnahabhain new make spirit we've got there. And can I just say to Peter Semple that sent in the comment, no.
I was about to ask if that was now part of the tour where we could reach inside and feel the lime scale on the mash tun.
As long as you're doing it with an operator and Brendan's not watching.
I was going to say I'll be like there with my safety hat on if I see that. I was thinking, God, that's going to be some hot lime scale.
No, you can do it for Zoom at the weekend.
We'll bear that in mind. A quick answer to a question there, Bob. No, this unfortunately is not my personal whisky shelf behind me. This is the main shelf in the new visitor centre. So unfortunately, no, these aren't mine. Anyway, it's worth a try.
Well, let's face it, Bob. He's in charge of the stock take, so it might as well be his personal collection. So
we don't mention the stock take ever. You know that, Brendan. Brendan, what's your take on the new make? You've played about with a lot of new make in your past.
Yeah. So there's some like funny comparisons I can draw to distilleries that I used to manage or whiskies that I used to work with. So spring water, when I found out I had a spring, there is a thing about spring water. When you find mineral rich hard water, you tend to find whiskies that are, let's face it, they are the cult classics, the Premier League whiskies, the superstars, whatever you want to call them, and Bunnahabhain's one of those. And there is something about having that sort of salty, chalky, mineral-rich water. There's a science behind that, and we could talk about, that, but you would soon see the stream fall to zero and people just switching off the internet, full stop. But it does help fermentation. It helps mashing. It helps us get the sugars out of the barley. It helps fermentation. But really what it does is it creates these kind of, well, you both said it creates that pear drop, that beautiful, sharp, bright, fruity note. It creates some of the citrus, and it also produces that kind of floral note that you're getting, Billy, It helps that happen. The other thing I love about the spirit, and I know Kiara's on tonight, and I know Catherine and Austin's on tonight, and a few other friends, and I like to, with respect, have a little poke at marketing every so often. And people talk about Bunnahabhain made in small batches, and I'm like, is it hell? Is it hell? So Bunnahabhain is a tiny amount of batches. So most distilleries will do 30 or 40 batches a week, and that's fine, But Bunnahabhain will do like 10 or 11 batches, but they're big, It's a big mash tun. It's a big commitment every time you do a mash, and it's a big fermentation, and it creates these big flavours. And then those stills, I mean, when you go in and stand next to those stills, it's kind of like that forced perspective thing that you see, how they make people look small in movies. These stills are enormous, it's just like my stills are bigger than yours if you ever want to have a fight. And it's part of that, as Andrew said, it means a massive amount of copper, a massive amount of interaction with the spirit, and it just strips out anything that's heavy. It strips out anything that's meaty or sulphury, and it just leaves behind all these big, bold flavours that you're looking for in the spirit. So I get the floral note. I absolutely get the pears. I also get this brilliant kind of, let's call it cereal note, this kind of biscuit base of a cheesecake, this sort of inside of a Malteser. All these kind of flavours start to come to the front for me as you develop the spirit. And I always talk for too long, and I don't care. But I apologise, but I'm not going to stop. But the one thing I'd say about the new make spirit, if everyone's trying it, if you want to do it like Andrew and I and Billy do it, is put 1 part new make spirit and 2 parts water into your glass. Don't do that with the whiskies, or, well, do it if you want. But with the new make spirit, you want to get it down to about 20% ABV, 40 proof for our friends in Chicago, Texas, and Canada. You want to get it about 20% ABV, 40 proof. That's when you'll really start to experience these these flavour notes that Andrew, myself, and Billy are talking about.
You definitely do pick up a lot more of that almost cereally cheesecake digestive biscuit notes coming through when you do that. And for me, that's one of those. It's almost like a baseline that everything else bounces off of in the New Make Spirit. It's got a really beautiful texture to it.
Yeah, I
So,
just seen that. There's a guy, Mike Grant's asking, because I used to work for Glenmorangie, and Glenmorangie was, mineral rich water and distilled in very tall but very small stills. And he said, how does it compare to Bunnahabhain? So the difference is, Glenmorangie is more fruity. So it says it's apples, pears, and citrus. Whereas with Bunnahabhain, you have the fruity notes, you have the pears, the green apples, but you also have this kind of floral thing going on, this fresh cut grass, jasmine, gorse bushes. If anyone's a terrible golfer, you'll know what gorse bushes are if you've ever played in Scotland, because that's when you slice the ball into the rough. And it also has, I think the big difference between Glenmorangie and Bunnahabhain, both incredible single malt whiskey spirits, but Bunnahabhain has a bit more depth. It has that cereal, that backbone. That's why it can go into sherry casks. Glenmorangie is lighter. That's why it would go into bourbon casks.
Excellent. Just had a few new folk joining us there, guys. Hi, how you doing? Dwayne, Mike in Canada, all the guys out there. How you going, mate? Good to see you again. Before we move on to the first dram, and I'm going to limit you significantly on this, Brendan, because it's a very short question.
You can try.
You can't do a tasting in Islay without going to the dark side. Tell us a little bit about Monya production, Andrew and Brendan.
So Monya is our smoky production at Bunnahabhain. And hey, I love smoke. Anyone who knows me, and I'm seeing a lot of people in here, which is really cool. I'm seeing a lot of people who I've met before. You know that I love smoke. And I used to make Ardbeg and I used to make Lagavulin, and I still love both of those distilleries. And I still love Islay, full stop, from having lived there for a couple of years. So smoky whiskey is something that I love. And Bunnahabhain smoky Monya is incredible whiskey. And I love it. But what I would love to do is make a little bit less Monya and talk about it, every so often. And I'd love to make way more of the traditional Bunnahabhain, because frankly, there's just not enough 12 and 18 to satisfy the world, and I'll never have enough to satisfy the world, but I'd like to get a bit closer.
Right, I'm just going to keep an eye on the comments coming in from that last statement, and we'll go from there. Right, what I think we'll do now, just keeping an eye on the time, and you did realise, Andrew, that it's 18 minutes in and he's mentioned 4 previous distilleries that he's worked at.
My ones previously, none.
There we go. Right, we're going to move on and we're going to try this tasting spawned from a tasting that we set up at the distillery here, where we wanted to look at trying New Make Spirit and then aged whiskey as it matured and eventually evolved into something that we could utilise to pour into a bottle of the 12-year-olds. So looking at how the spirit changed over time in a sherry cask. So the first one that we're going to look at in that respect is the 2015 Oloroso Hogshead. Now, this is not a kick in the backside off rocket fuel. It's 60.4% ABV. So it's got a fair bit of a kick to it. And you can get that right away on the nose. It's got that little bit of sharpness, that little tanginess that you get from the higher alcohol levels.
Sorry about that wee giggle. I was just reading Steve Laidlaw's comment there.
Yeah, I know. Aye. They keep sacking him.
Moss doesn't gather on a rolling stone, Steve. I moved too quick for that.
Right. Anyway, so this is the first of the drams that we're going to taste. And when we set this tasting up, this was effectively a 3-year-old. So it was had just become whiskey and had evolved from the New Make Spirit into something that you could tangibly call whiskey and sell. Now it's a little bit older than that. So this was distilled in November 2015. So it's about a 5-year-old, 5.5-year-old. It's got a lovely rich gold colour to it. It was in a first fill Oloroso Hoggy for its life. So it spent its whole time in that one cask. I said before, a little bit of ethanol in it. It's got quite a high ABV. It's a bit sharp in the nose. For me, it's slightly bitter, but then it mellows down to give you more sweetness as you saturate the membranes in your nose and you get used to that heat. What do we think of this one, guys? Have a wee nose, have a wee taste, and
yeah,
go for it.
I mean, I love the way that we're trying it. Like, this is like probably most people's first time trying this whiskey. And even if every whiskey you've ever had in your entire life, you like it with water added to it, you definitely want to start just the way Billy started. Try it neat, because this is like the purest, the most uninterfered way you're ever going to get to try this whiskey. And this might be the one that you'll love at high strength. And at high strength, this one holds together amazingly. You know, I'm getting all sorts of kind of licorice. I'm getting like a crazy amount of, like, you know, that chewy licorice candy that you get sometimes. So it's like a toffee and licorice mix. You get a lot of kind of coffee notes in there as well. And I think you're saying that kind of bitter note. I'm getting that same sort of bitterness that you get out of, you know, like an espresso or a Turkish coffee. If you ever go,
almost.
Aye, if you go super strong, concentrated. It's fantastic, unsurprisingly.
For a young whiskey, though, it's quite complex, Andrew. There's a lot coming through on it. It's not just all about a big slap of power and nothing else.
No, it's not. There's hints in the background there of right soft fruits and that, and it's got a lovely. I quite like it at 60.4. I think it says, Brendan says, it needs to be tried straight. It probably needs to be mixed a wee bit with water just to try it and all. Or should brought another glass with me just to try it in both ways, just to see how it opens up and develops with just a spot of water, I think. But yeah, I get the licorice. I get the Stananese, a wee bit of that coming through it and all. And I do get, I'm not saying it's a bitterness, it's more of a sharpness to me. And I thought it was more like a dark chocolate coming through. Very dark chocolate. But rich cocoa. It's
still got, for me, even with water in it, I tried a wee bit beforehand and then put a bit of water into that one just to marry it through and see how it changes. Still holds its structure really well. It doesn't break down and start to weaken. It's still got a lot of complexity there. And for me, it actually sweetens up when you add some water to it. I get much more of the fruit coming through in the aftertaste, and sounds really daft. I've only ever found this in one other whiskey before. That there's almost like hints of dried pineapple. It is that light, soft fruitiness that comes through at the end.
That's disappointing. You got my hopes up there, Billy, when you went, this sounds daft, and I was like, oh, you're beauty. This is going to be amazing. But then you said something that made a lot of sense. So
it's early days yet. We've still got another 40 minutes to go.
I'm just sorry, Andrew.
It's got a salted aftertaste. I'm finding a bit of salt on the back of it. Just a bit of dryness in there, giving it more like a salty mouthfeel on it. It's got a nice aftertaste too.
Yeah. I don't know whether this is going to do what Brendan was talking about earlier about the techie discussion, just killing the conversation, but you don't know whether that's coming from the water and the mash pulling out those different flavour profiles, or whether it's in the distillation or the fermentation or a combination of all of them. And that for me, as a whiskey geek and Anorak, that's the questions that I love trying to figure out. Can't answer them all, but we love them.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Because it's sitting in the warehouse beside the sea.
Or that one as well. That's the marketing man's dream.
It's definitely not that. But
you don't know where we soaked that cask before we filled it.
We've got a question come in. We've got a question come in there, guys, for Rainer saying from Germany, saying what's the ratio of bourbon to sherry casks in the 12-year-olds Bunnahabhain at the moment?
So it's pretty much all sherry. Now, the way that Bunnahabhain works is we'll use a lot of first fill sherry, we'll use a lot of second fill sherry, but we'll use refill sherry as well. Now, with the refill sherries, it's a bit of I'd love to say it's a bit of an art, makes it sound very fancy. It's a bit of an art. It's a bit of actually just due diligence. It's just a bit of hard work. For every refill sherry cask you get that's incredible and gives this kick of flavour and colour and that classic sherry, dried fruit, spice, cinnamon, and sort of broken up nuts. For other ones they actually just perform much more like a bourbon barrel. So it really is about getting that ratio of first fill that gives that huge sherry punch. Let's call it a sherry bomb, but you could argue too much. Then you'll get some second fills to dial it back towards where we want it. And then we'll use refill sherries or bourbons to bring it back. But really, I mean, I always say, don't quote me on this. And then someone will find me 2 years later and say, you said, just after you're looking at a good 90% of it is sherry cask, even 95% is sherry cask right now. And we fill into bourbon every so often because sometimes you just need to pull things back from the brink. You know, if there's too much sherry in there and you've lost the balance, a bit of bourbon just brings it right back into the middle.
And that's where the blender, the master blender's art form is. It's been able to manage those different flavour profiles from all those different casks to get to the target flavour that you're looking for to maintain that continuity. That's it.
And then some people might say, well, why didn't you just do 100% sherry? The other thing you've got to remember is sherry changes every year. You know, there's vintages. Yeah. Sometimes a bigger, bolder wine. Sometimes it's a little bit more ethereal. There's a big word for a Friday night. But sometimes it's a little bit more, you know, it's a little bit more floral and light of touch. So you always, even though you want to keep things consistent, your whole world around you is changing. So yeah, you've got to have a few ingredients, a few strings that you can pull on. But really, you're looking at Rainer. You're looking at it's pretty much all sherry cask. That's what kind of just locks together with Bunnahabhain.
Robin Ware was asking if the video is going to be available anywhere else after the events. I know a few of the tasting kits have got held up somewhere. It will be available on the Facebook site, and we'll also look to put the recorded video up onto YouTube. So when your kits get to you, you can sit and relive the experience if you really want to.
Yeah, of course they will. Of course they will.
Of course they will. Of course they will. Andrew and you on here. Right. Okay.
Billy, there's a question in from Mike Grant. He's asking if this year's festival t-shirts were actually made specially for you.
No, unfortunately, I've got one specially made. It's got Fesh Monkey written on the back of it. But other than that, no. These are our limited edition Fesh t-shirts for this year. It's the Fesh at home because we can't be with you, obviously, and you can't be with us. So there we go. Bobby's asked what ethereal means. That's a very esoteric question, Bobby. Don't bother. We'll get you later.
It's also quite hard because I can't really pronounce THs. You know, this is my thumb. So me saying ethereal with a Coatbridge accent probably will send the internet into a meltdown.
And me trying to translate it with a Glasgow one doesn't help either, so we're okay. Right, okay. That was the first step in the evolution of the spirit from new make into whiskey itself.
Billy, could I jump in just for 1 second? And I swear it'll be very quick. But there's just a question popped up. I think it's Dom asked. He says, would it probably be the right time to bottle this 2015? Or is it too hard to tell from now how the cask will develop? I think that's a great question, but I think that's why this tasting tonight is so cool. See, when you taste the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old or the 18-year-old, it's amazing. But what we're doing is, Andrew's saying the samples all these casks, and he's saying, I think these ones are a bit up, I think these ones are a bit down, and we will put them together to make a very consistent whiskey, which is the Bunnahabhain 12 or the 18 or the 25. But with single casks, it really is. It's like a moment in time. It's a snapshot, and for some people it works. Some people think, oh, this is it perfect. Some people think, oh, it's maybe went a bit too far, and some people think it's got further to go. So really, I'd put it right back on you. It's your palate. If you love this one, the best of the 4 we taste tonight, for you, this would be when we bottle it. But for other people, they'll think it should be a little bit stronger or a little bit lighter. It's individual palates that decide. That's why I love single casks.
One of the things to point out in relation to that, yeah, we have bottled it. Each of the 4 casks that we're trying tonight, we've got in 20 and 70 CLs on the website. So if you do want to grab a bottle of that one, it's available for you. As Brendan alluded to, though, these are all single casks, and they're never going to be there again. They're moving on. If we do this again, we'll look for new casks, which will be slightly different. So these are those snapshots at each of those different stages in the maturation process. So. Right, you threw me off there. Right, okay. The next step on the pathway was another cask, which was a 2013 Oloroso hogshead. This is, again, very, very powerful stuff. It's bottled at 60.2% ABV. So again, there's a lot of heat, there's a lot of power there, but it's just that little bit older. And if you've got any of the 15 left in the glass, have a look at the colour. of them. It's just a little bit darker as well. And I know colour means nothing in reality. It's just about what you perceive. But all of our whiskies, because we don't add any artificial colours, these are the natural colours that come out of the cask. And you do see that extra couple of years worth coming into the glass at this point. And if I hold it in front of my new white T-shirt, which I can only wear one day a week, you'll see the colour on that, because I'm still a big kid at heart and I get dirty. This one, for me, it's very different from the previous one. It's a lot softer on the nose, even though it's not that far off it in ABV. That sharpness, that tartness has mellowed out a wee bit more because there's a lot more flavours and a lot more aromas coming off the liquid into the nose at this point for me. Smells beautiful. Much more of the fruits and the Oloroso influence coming through on it. What do you guys think?
I'm definitely getting tropical fruits coming through on it. That was my first impression there. Nice light tropical fruits.
Absolutely agree. So I'm actually finding it, even though it's a big sherry cask kind of maturation profile, I'm getting way more of that kind of Bunnahabhain house style coming through. I can almost taste the pears, and I can almost taste that fresh cut grass of the tun room coming through. And then I get a lovely bit of kind of powdered sugar, and then that more classic Oloroso sherry flavour, the Christmas cake and the dried fruits come later. So yeah, totally with Andrew. I get that light fruitiness up front.
It's becoming more what you would recognise as Bunnahabhain.
It's got more of them. What you tend to find, I tend to find in Bunnahabhain, it's got more of the spiciness flavours to come through. More of that cinnamon coming through. You know, Bunnahabhain's always got this wee bit of cinnamon. I think in the 2015 it was more of the alcohol, whereas now it's turning into more spiciness. It's got that hint of I'm getting a wee bit of orange in it too, which is unusual for me.
It's getting to that. I mean, for anybody that's done the maturation tasting here or listened to myself or David or Colin or any other guys when we're talking about these, it's about how the flavour breaks down a little bit as it ages and you get more and more of the influence in the wood coming out to balance those flavours. I think that the extra couple of years on this one really has shown the benefit of that process, that so much more of the character of the woods coming through to marry up with the character of the spirit. Yeah.
I've just seen Dom Hafner has said white pepper, so I'm not sure if that's a tasting note or if that's a hello to you, Billy. Just
Am I going to change my Instagram name now? I was a brunette before I started working with Andrew.
And you've only been there 3 months.
Funny, a lot of people that work with me go that colour, Billy.
There we go. It must be the water up here, Andrew.
It's me. It's got nothing to do with me.
I seen a comment. I've lost the name, so forgive me. It's Mike. Said, Brendan, whatever you do, don't change the 12, the 18, or the 25. And I was like, yeah, don't worry. I'm not that arrogant or stupid. I'll tell you what, the only thing I'll do differently is I'll try to make more of it. That's all I'll do.
Especially the 18.
Yeah.
Aye. Now, you've said that in public. We'll hold you to that one there, Brendan.
Yeah. I mean, you'd need to be a right clown to do that, to walk in and just suddenly say, I'm going to change all of this. I mean, what a load of nonsense. They're just phenomenal whiskies, and it's just making them as high quality as always and making a little bit more of them if I can.
Sean was asking, is this a first fill or a refill as well? This is a full maturation in the Oloroso hogshead as well, Sean. So the first 2 drams have had their full maturations in those casks. So many comments coming through here that I agree with. There's honeys and melons and a lot of the soft fruit stuff coming through on this one. But it's still got that lovely spicy, almost peppery end note on it.
Aye, it's yes. Gordon, see, Dom, probably say this wrong with my accent. Hafner, orange, honey, melon, papaya. I get the orange, I get the melon, I get the papaya. I'm not a big fan of honey, so I don't get that.
It's pretty clear that Dom shops in Waitrose as well, isn't it? With that shopping list, that's
chicken soup and a bit red.
I drove past the Isla Quail Farm van today, so I didn't know there was a quail farm in Isla, but there we go, there is.
They grow quail.
Yeah, someone was messaged me on my phone there just saying, can we get the T-shirts online? Apparently, yes, there is still some left. And we've got some here at the distillery if you're on Isla, but very limited in number, obviously. If you're getting me modelling it, you can't afford that many of them. So what do you think in terms of the two that we've had so far, guys, the difference that extra couple of years makes?
Well, for
in terms
me,
of
it's
flavour, in terms of becoming more Bunnahabhain, if you want.
that's you take the words out of my mouth. It's become more Bunnahabhain to me. It's got more. It's taking the sherry. It's the spirits now. It's marrying with the cask. It's extracting from the cask. It's giving back. It's giving the cask is given to the spirit, and they're starting to become into a balance. And you're getting something that's much more for me a house style for Bunnahabhain. You know, that all the roses just combining now with the new make spirit, and it's sitting. What's that? What age was that? 8-year-old?
Yeah, 2012. So just over 8.
No, it's funny. Strange enough, there was a cask in number 9 warehouse already, which was going back to Brendan's favourite style, the Monia Olarosa, the 7-year-old that was sitting in there. And I was never a big peated fan. And then we started with that one was put into warehouse 9, and we started tasting that one, and that just converted me. Strangely enough, it was in one of my top 5 whiskies at one point, and that was someone that was. I don't like peated whiskies. That really converted me onto peated whiskies. It was a peat with Oloroso.
So this is the 13, isn't it, Billy? Not the 12.
Sorry, this is 2013. Yeah, so it's just about 8 years old now.
Yeah. So
January 12th.
Again, we're all agreeing far too much, gentlemen. But I totally agree. I love the fact that the 2015 is younger, so you'd expect it to be more spirity. But I'd actually say it's much more about the sherry cask. You know, that coffee deepness, spiciness that's coming through. But it's this great thing. So the second sample that we're trying, this 8-year-old, is longer in the sherry cask, so you'd expect more sherry flavour. But you've got that kind of development of the esters, development of the fruity flavours, the tropical notes. The Bunnahabhain spirit is sort of coming back in, and it's almost. It doesn't make one better or one worse, but I'd say the first sample of it is more sherry led, and the second one is more balanced. It's more kind of poised, and it's really down to your preference which one you prefer. But I prefer the second one. It does say Bunnahabhain to you, doesn't it, when you drink it?
Yeah. Mike Grant put a comment in there saying that lately Bunnahabhain's released a fair number of cask strength young age bottles, and why is this? And it goes back to what you were just talking about there, Brendan. It's when that individual cask, the spirit in there, gets to that point where it's a beautiful balance of the flavour of the wood and the flavour of the spirit without one overtaking the other. Why hold it any longer? Because at that point, if you do that, it's just going to go off. It's going to go downhill. It's not going to be what you want it to be. And if it's 8 years old, if it's 12 years old, if it's 15, if it's at the right time, that's the right time to do it.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And then the only other thing I'd say, and as well as it being the right thing to do, is what people are demanding. It's what people are asking for. So we are releasing a lot more cask strength young ones, but we're also releasing a lot more sort of one-off innovative ones, and we are releasing a bit more older ones as well. It really is just. I'm a whiskey drinker as well. You know, I'm a whiskey nut first before I'm a whiskey maker, and we are a fickle bunch. You know, we love our classics, but we also want a twist every so often, and part of it's that. But it is a great way to show off just how a whiskey develops. You know, release it young, release it medium, release it old, and you can sort of. You know.
There was a couple of comments come through, and I think it's related to that. We've just released a 6-year-old Canasta sherry, and it's over 60% as well, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's a stunning marriage of the two flavours, and it's the right time to release it. We managed to get cask for Warehouse 9. We were going to take it because it's just stellar. So it does, to me, as Phil Walker there says, when it's ready, it's ready. It doesn't matter what age it is. If it's good to go, it's good to go.
It doesn't matter, as long as it's over 3 years old, of course, because we don't want to break the law. But but no, you're right. When it's ready is a great way to look at it. You know, I think there's when it's ready. There's certain things that you can only create in the 18-year-old by just waiting 18 years. So no one panic. We're not going to de-age everything or anything like that. But you're right. If you have the chance, you just find a cask that's just ready, and you go, wow, this is just incredible. you don't want to just, oh, let's wait until it's 18 years old, because you'll lose that individuality. It's just a great way to just show off this spirit in different ways.
Snoops is just leaving us now, so we'll catch you later, Snoops. See you next week. I think in that for many distilleries, but us as a paramount with that, it gives us the opportunity to utilise all these whiskies and showcase them in things like the Warehouse 9 or the Maturation tasting. It's not impacting on our core range that everybody knows and is familiar with and obviously likes, but it gives us that chance to experiment and play about and do different things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
right. I'm conscious of the time. We've got 20 minutes left and we've only done a new making 2 drams, so we better move on a wee bit now. The next one we're going to look at is the 2012 Oloroso. The next step in the aging process for us. And for me, this is where things start to change dramatically. Partly because this is not a full-term maturation in this cask. This spent the last 3 years of its life in the Oloroso Hoggy. Prior to that, it was in a refill cask. I think that's right, Andrew?
Yeah, we need to go and check the history of that, but yes, it could have been in a refill cask. It could have been in it could have come out one of our vattings. We done a huge amount of vattings back in 2012, 13 and 14, where we transferred over 1,000 casks a year into fresh sherry casks, odd bourbon, depending on what we were doing it with. Yeah. But it probably was refill. It might have just had a wee touch of sherry in there too.
I think we're asking about this, and I think. Sorry, carry on, Brendan.
It's very unusual that you're going to go from one cask. So, see, you've been in one cask for 10 years. It's very unusual you're going to go from that cask into just one new cask. You know, a 1-to-1 ratio. It just isn't going to work like that, because the Angels share. You know, you've been maturing these casks for 10 years. You've lost a quarter of the contents of that cask. So your cask is a quarter. 3/4 full. So once you empty 10 or 12 or 20 of those casks into a vat, you'll then fill the next casks up to the full. So you'll have a mixture. You'll have like several different similar casks vatted together, and then they'll go into this sherry hogshead for the final 3 years.
I think that really played into what we were trying to do with the tasting and with this kit. Was it was to show people from new make all the way through to something that would typically be considered for going into the 12-year-old. And that's part of the normal process of the distillery, and get the liquid from the stills all the way through to the bottle. So in that sense, it worked really well.
And that's exactly what this was for. It was we took it out at a certain age and we put it back into sherry, and that's exactly what it was done for. It was to bring the cask and bring it in for the standard 12-year-old. Most of it for standard 12-year-old. Some of it might be laid down for 18-year-old now, and just go on that extra 6 years. So it was done over a course of 3-4 years. I think we've done this every summer.
For me, it really, you can almost, and it really does influence the nose. It's not, as you would expect, in that linear progression of full maturations, that it's richer, it's sweeter, it's deeper. It's not. This has still got, it's got a complex nose on it. It's not as heavy, almost, as you would expect. It's much lighter and softer in the nose.
Agreed. I think that's really important. I think you could break the bank, okay, and buy just first fill sherry casks and just use first fill sherry for everything you do. And let's face it, you know, it's human nature. We all hear first fill, and you think first fill better than second fill, but it won't work if you just use those. All you're going to get is sherry flavored generic whiskey. You'll wash out all the, you know, uniqueness, quirkiness, differentness of Bunnahabhain if you do that. That's why I love whiskies like this, where you give them just time to mature, time to settle down, time to develop, time to smooth out, and then you give them a certain flavour towards the end, and you take them in a direction that you want them to go in. I think that all comes together in this whiskey, like you say. There's just so much more to discover when you mature it this way.
Yeah. It's fine having a big sherry bomb, and everybody loves a sherry bomb every now and again, but it's not the be all and end all. And like you say, this is a much more complex way of doing things, but it's a much more interesting way to me. It gives you so much more opportunities to develop flavour. And for me, in this one, this is so much more. There's oiliness. There's more, almost like butyric, that sort of thick, heavy note to it. It's not aggressive, and it's really sort of what I would think of as Bunnahabhain at the end. It's still got that wee sharpness, but it's almost got that wee briny note as well, and I've no idea where that's coming from in reality. But it's a really nice dram to sit and have a wee taste of.
I think the brininess just comes from Andrew's salty nature, you know.
Just sprays the casks.
No.
Andrew, I spoke over you earlier.
That's all right. I actually think it's just developing into 12-year-old. It's like what you would get in the classic 12-year-old bottle. It might not have that as much share in it, but for me, you can see the 2013 in it. I am still getting the tropical fruit in the back of it. I'm getting caramel. I'm getting a touch of ginger. I'm getting the classic Bunnahabhains that you would expect in the 12-year-old. It's maybe not as intense as it was in the 2013 with the sherry notes, but it's more like you would get in your classic 12-year-old. It is that development of going there, and that was the whole ethos behind taking these casks and putting them in the sherry and developing that. Hello there, Alex. Someone that knows on. And Gunther said earlier on, it's lighter than the 2013. And it is a bit lighter than the 2013, but it's because it's not the full maturation in the Oloroso cask. But again, for me, I really like this one. And again, it's just the development of that. The house style, you could say. We are progressing towards that house style of Bunnahabhain 12-year-old with this one.
Nick Bowman's just asked about a full maturation in bourbon. Join the warehouse tasting on Friday the 4th, Nick. There's a 2007 Heaven Hill bourbon cask in that one if you like a bourbon tasting. So there's still kits available.
2007? Did you say 2007?
Yeah.
Oh, Nick might have actually been here putting that spirit in the cask.
There we go.
Nick used to work at Bunnahabhain.
Nick used to work at Bunnahabhain. Hi, Nick.
Yep, used to play in the same football team as me, Port Ellen FC, undefeated, one season, won the Easter Cup. Have we got time to talk about that, Billy?
No, we haven't. Not this time. I didn't realise. I knew it was going to be challenging keeping Andrew on track, but seeing the two of you get together, this is just going to be a nightmare for me for the next week.
You'll have black hair by the time we're finished.
I'll have none. Hey, Elise, how you doing there? Elise used to work with us. She's back in saying hello. Good to see you again.
Hi, Elise.
Hey, Elise.
When we were doing the tasting for this, I was sitting at home trying to write up some tasting notes when we were first starting to do the tasting. And it was getting later at night, and I'd tried a couple of them, to say the least. And I wrote down something that has come back to haunt me in many a time about this particular one. That it's not really a taste, it's more of a place. It's a woody headland by the sea at dusk with a slight breeze and no midges. So that was how well on it was, because no midges in Islay in the middle, so forget it. But for me, this is one of those whiskies that takes you somewhere. And when you first taste this, if you taste it again, you'll go back there, because it is a memorable whiskey. It's got a lot going for it, and it draws you back again and again. And leaving that one sitting for 10, 15 minutes, and you go back to it again, it's just opened out and softened just a little bit more, and it just opens up so much after 10, 15 minutes.
I'm really impressed at how I'm not a cask strength whiskey drinker. I'm just not. I love to add water to the higher sense. I always think somewhere between 40 and 48, let's call it, percent ABV is where whiskey works. But I'm amazed at how structured and how well hung together these whiskies are at the full strength, at the cask strength. They really offer something brilliant. Like Andrew said,
is a lot.
Wish I brought double the glasses, so you could have some high strength and some reduced.
You said two at 60%. 60% is a lot of alcohol, but it just doesn't feel like it with these.
Yeah, agreed.
Right. Okay, we're going to now move on to dram number 4. Which is the 2007 bottle. That should be the only one left in your kit. And this was the end of the experiment. This was something that would be considered and assessed for utilising in a routine bottling of the 12-year-old. And for me, this is a beautiful end of the road of that whole process, because it tastes just like the 12-year-old. It's a single cask, and we know that the 12-year-old is a marriage of lots of different casks to get that particular flavour profile. But it ticks all those boxes that I get from the 12-year-old. It's got that light citrus tropical notes in the nose. When I taste it, it's got creamy butterscotch and nuts, but it's also got a little bit of almost like ginseng and that spiciness on it. And then the aftertaste is just mellow and smooth and coats your mouth really well and just sits there for a while. It's 56.4, so it's still got a bit of power behind it, but aggressive is not a word you would use to describe this one.
Getting a massive amount of love for our Canadian ambassador, Mike, tonight. I think it just deserves called out. So great job, Mike.
Keep an eye out for Mike. We managed to get some bottles from Warehouse 9 sent over to the Canadian contingent, and we're going to be doing a Warehouse 9 special in Canada in the next few weeks. So that's another late night for me, I believe.
I've seen that come up earlier on. I think you're doing a tasting with 300 people, are you?
I didn't know we'd sent them that many bottles, but okay.
I've seen something about 300 in one of the comments earlier on.
They're all good fun. It's if we can't do it in person, then it's the next best thing. It's just a bit of fun, a bit of laughter. But if you've got a decent whiskey to sit and chew over at the time, it's easy stuff. Now again, this isn't a full maturation in the hoggy. This went in there in 2014, so it's went again 3 years or so in a refill cask. Like you say, it might have been part of that vatting process as well, Andrew. So even more intrinsically part of what would go into the 12-year-old.
Definitely.
Yeah, Mike's just confirmed 300.
I thought I seen that comment coming in earlier on.
Mike, you and I need to talk.
It's for fish next week.
You ever seen Mike's trick with the loaves and the fishes? That's what he's going to do.
Everybody, right, let's get a nickname. I didn't know Mike had one as well. That just sits there in the palate. It just doesn't go away. It just goes on and on. Again, still holds that flavour profile. It doesn't tail off too quickly. It's got a lovely, long, lingering aftertaste on that one.
Yeah, it has. And it's just right at the very end, it's got that Bunnahabhain spice.
Aye.
It goes right down to the very end, but it's a creamy butterscotch in it there, and the palate as well. But aftertaste, it's lingering, it's heavier, and spice, it's got that spice. It's not as intense as maybe the one before. It's got the stewed fruits in it and all. It's got them. I'm now starting to get the dates and the raisins coming through.
Just seen Russell posting there, Mike is a beauty. Russell, you made me open one of my good bottles. I'm still not really speaking to you. We'll have a chat on this next call, don't you worry. But yeah, for me, that's a really nice one to have. So from your point of view, guys, with your years' experience and understanding of what it takes, following through that progression, do we end up where we want to be in terms of Bunnahabhain, and what do you think that process brings to make sure we get there at the end of the day? The consistency, because that's key for us, is consistency.
Oh, that's easy. I've got the easy part of that job. I make the spirit, I put it in the cask. Brendan has to make it consistent in the bottle of 3,000 for the 12, the 18, the 20, 25. I mean, it's 18, it's a classic Bunnahabhain for me. 12, so it's a 12. As I say, I make new meat spirit. As long as the spirit's been in the cask, then Brendan has to take all these different flavours from these different casks, and he's got to marry it to make the 12 and the 18 and the 25 that we do, and do it so well. So that's my easy job.
Very modest, Andrew. Very, very modest.
It's not. I always say this. I think the person that's making these 12 and the 18 and 25 and is keeping the consistency going. It's very easy to go into a warehouse and say, "Oh, that's a great cask. Let's get that one in a bottle just now."
Agreed.
Yeah, but it takes a unique skill to keep it consistent, and that's it. As long as what we're producing out of the distillery, the spirit has got the same quality, It's got into the same type of wood. It's staying up to that. You can take 100 casks. You got one that's brilliant. You got one that's maybe not so brilliant. The other 90 in there are okay. But it takes a certain skill set to then say, right, this is a 12-year-old, and I've got to make that 12-year-old the same today as it was a couple of years ago and the years before. So that's where the master distiller comes into his own. So it's over to you. Big build up now.
No pressure at all. But I think that's the other thing, Billy. So thank you, Andrew. First of all, thank you very much. But I think a huge part of it is that there's every single person involved. Every single person that works at Bunnahabhain just lives and breathes Bunnahabhain. And the other thing we need to build strong, long-term relationships with people who make great casks, and we've got that. And then the other thing we need is time. And it's a bit of bravery as well, because it's not just a question of lay down Bunnahabhain in a sherry cask and see when it hits 12, just mix them all together and make 12. It's a bit about just taking the time and making sure that everything knits together, challenging people to look at it. Does this taste the same? Does it not? Are you happy with it? Am I happy with it? And then sometimes actually saying, look, I know we were expecting to bottle some 12-year-old this month, but it's not ready yet. It's just not ready yet. It's going to take. I'm going to have to pull some more samples. I'm going to bring some more whiskey over from Bunnahabhain to the bottling hall, and I'm going to put it together and make sure it's right. There's a combination of great people, talented people, length of service, keeping people here forever, having passionate people, which sounds like a cliche, but you know what? It's true. If you have people that are passionate about what they do, it makes all the difference. And then the other bit is just that kind of time, And by time, I don't mean 12 years for the 12-year-old, 18 years for the 18-year-old. I mean just properly taking the time to make sure it's perfect before you then approve it and it goes into the bottling hall and then goes out to the world for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just conscious of the time, guys. We've got about 2.5 minutes left. So first of all, just in terms of bringing things to a close for the evening here, a couple of things I'd like to say. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this evening. It's been a pleasure having you with us. Loved all the questions coming through. Please keep them coming. If we can't answer them just now, we'll get them all answered and get back to you. I'd like to thank Andrew for his time tonight. Much appreciated. Wealth of experience and knowledge. And for Brendan as well. Again, welcome to the company. It's great to have you here, and we look forward to doing many more of these things with you as the days progress. I'd be remiss and I'd get a kick in the backside if I didn't say that we've got a fish warehouse tasting at 4 o'clock on Friday the 4th of June, and join Andrew, Brendan, myself and Julianne, our master blender, at 8 o'clock on the 4th of June for the master class, where we'll be looking at the fish bottles and the 12-year-old in a little bit more detail for there. Again, these are going out on Facebook. We'll get them put up on Facebook page so you can look at them later, and they'll also go out on YouTube. Other than that, if there's any final questions or any final thoughts from yourself, guys, if I've missed anything, please apologies, and anything from yourselves before we go.
Hey, Nick's asked if the shop's open. Oh, he's seen the answer. Yes, Nick, the shop's open at the weekend.
Yeah. Now another one. I'm not going to get into a controversial answer, but Saul Williams, no one will force us to do it. We'll always make great Bunnahabhain. And just cheers, everyone. I've really, really enjoyed tonight. Amazing whiskies, Billy. Fantastic put together. Thanks for hosting, and yeah, it's been fun, gents.
No problem. So, on that note, guys, thanks everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Take care, and we'll hopefully see you on Friday the 4th. Slanger.
Slanger.
Yeah, everyone.